Everybody wants a big fat kick sound in their track, especially producers. But the question is, how do you make it sound like that? In today's lesson, I'm going to show you how I approach mixing kick drums and give you some strategies to help you beef up yours. Let's go. Are you an artist, producer, engineer, or music professional that's looking for funding for your music career? Could you benefit from having funding for studio time, mixing and mastering, or even marketing costs? I think I have something for you. I've written a free ebook. It's 9 pages, super short and digestible, where I break down the 6 main places that artists and professionals like yourself can find funding for their musical projects. If this sounds like it's of value to you, please click the link below and you can download this for free today and benefit from this knowledge. I hope this helps. I'll see you guys soon. Peace. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is your boy 5-Piece producer and engineer extraordinaire. Thank you for checking out this video as always. And if you haven't already, please hit the bell and the subscribe button below so you can stay tuned for more helpful videos in the future. In today's video, we're going to talk about mixing kick drums, and I'm going to show you an example from a song that I mixed recently. This is going to be really helpful if you're looking to beef up your kick sounds. So let's just get right into it. Let's go into Pro Tools. So I have this session queued up. It's Waste My Time. It's by Cashflow and Adib and my buddies. The song is already out, so if you like it, you can hit the link below and check it out on the streaming platform of your choice. But I mixed and mastered this record, and I want to start by just showing you, I guess, their original demo first. So this is the reference mix they sent me, just to give you a little bit of context of where they had it, and then I'm going to show you where I took it and what I did to get it there. All right, so let me just solo this. We'll take a listen.
Waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, baby, is you down cause of the love? Yeah, baby, you ain't my type, nah, just wanna waste my time. Yeah, staring into my...
Okay, so that's pretty cool. It's giving you the idea of where the record is at. All right, so let's hear what I did to it, and then we're going to talk about what I did. So this is my version.
Waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, baby, is you down cause of the love? Yeah, baby, you ain't my type, nah, just wanna waste my time. Yeah, staring into my eyes.
So you can hear there's a pretty significant difference between these two versions, which makes sense. One wasn't really mixed. It was more of just a rough demo reference. And then the other one, the second one, is the mixed and mastered version. But you can tell that the kicks, the 808s, the dynamics as a whole is just a lot bigger and fuller, especially compared to the first version. You know, the first one's a bit thinner sounding, whereas the mixed and mastered final is a lot bigger and fuller sounding. So let's specifically focus on the kick and look at what I did on the kick drum to achieve this sound. Okay, and I did a few different things, and this sort of varies depending on the track, but let's just look at what I did on this specific track. I'm going to solo the kick. I'll just play you this kick. This is with the processing I have on it. All right, let me get rid of the processing that I had and the additional things, and we'll play the same exact part. You can see the difference. Still great. Don't get it twisted. Like, we already started with a great point, a starting point. Cashflow produced this well. He chose a good sound, and that's arguably the most important thing to start with. But let's talk about what I did next, okay, and how I kind of spiced this up. And let's first start by talking about what's directly on my kick channel, and then I'll talk about what this kick sub channel is. This is a auxiliary channel. We'll talk about it in a minute, but let's just talk about what's on the actual kick track first. So I got a solid bus comp. This is an SSL style emulation from Native Instruments. And I'm just compressing the kick a little bit. You can see that there's volume differences, right? This hit is louder than this hit. This hit's quieter than this hit. And it's cool. It's not bad to have dynamics like that, but I just wanted to make sure that the kick was fairly upfront. So I have the weakest threshold it possibly could be. You know what I mean? This is the highest point. And we're managing to hit that. I got a 4-to-1 ratio, so for every 4 dB that comes into the compressor past the threshold, 1 dB will come out. It's basically cutting the really loud parts into a quarter of the volume. I have the attack set to the slowest possible time, so this is going to really preserve the transient and not allow the compressor to clamp down and turn it down too fast, aka squash it. And then I have a very fast release. I have the fastest release. I don't always have it on this setting, but I guess in this case, I chose this setting because it just made sense. I'm letting go of the kick as fast as I can, letting it go back to an uncompressed state. And I'm trying to make sure that this compressor is set in a very not noticeable or transparent way. So let's just play this for a moment. I'll let it run and I'll put the compressor in and out and we can hear the difference. Play it again without it. Putting it in. Just a bit more consistent. You can hear when I put it in, it's a bit more consistent, and that's cool. The next thing I did was I took a FabFilter Pro Q, and I just did a little bit of sweetening and a little bit of cutting, not really too much, but just a little bit of enhancement and a little bit of reduction in certain frequency pockets. So let's just sort of play this. I'll like keep this on a loop and we'll play it and then I'll bypass. We can see the difference and I'll really highlight what these frequencies we're accenting are doing. Without it. With it. You just hear it's a bit more dense. There's a bit more emphasis or heaviness to the kick, which is cool. That's what I want in this case. So if I were to keep playing this and just solo the frequencies that I'm boosting, I'm going to kind of point out what I'm doing here, but I started by getting rid of some low end. So if I hold this down and we listen, super like sub frequency. And the reason why I did that is because I have an 808 in this session and I don't think we need that low end. You know, it's mostly rumble, not really audible information. It's more stuff you feel, not stuff you hear. But because of the 808, I decided to reduce this a little bit. That'll create some more headroom on the kick as a whole and leave more room for the 808 to dominate the sub frequencies. Now up here, I'm boosting around 133 and I'm doing a pretty aggressive boost, 5 dB. 133, this is probably going to be more of the beater kind of sound, you know, a little bit more of the lower definition of the kick, you could say. So let's just solo this and hear it. A little bit more of the knock, right? Now I'm getting rid of this mid-range around 400. Let's take a listen to that, see what that is. A little bit of the boxiness. I'm getting rid of the boxiness, you know, here. So I'm doing a little bit of a low-end boost, a little bit of a mid-range cut, and then up here I got around a 2600 hertz boost as well, 2.5 dB boost roughly. And this is going to be a little bit more of the articulation of the kick, right? The definition of it. So you'll see it's a higher frequency. Let's play it. Right? So we're just getting a little bit more of that emphasis. Now, this all sounds a little extreme when I solo it like this, but when I actually play it, you'll see it sounds a lot more natural. And of course, I made these decisions in the actual context of my song. So I recommend doing that as well. Just make sure you do things in the context of your song because that's how people are going to hear it. I'm just soloing this and showing it to you in an isolated situation so you see what I did and understand the logic behind it. So started with a little bit of compression. And if I actually play this one more time with the compression, we just pay attention to how much volume we're losing. Maybe a 1, maybe up to a 2 dB, but more likely a 1 on average. As this is 4, you can see the needle's just nudging there. So I'm adding a 1.5 dB makeup gain on this compressor as well. So compressor into the EQ. All right. Pretty straightforward stuff. Now, what about this kick sub? Let's talk about what this channel is. All right. I'm just going to have to do something real quick so you can hear it. But if I solo it and play it, you're going to hear exactly what this channel is. It's an aux track. I'll just play it. It's mostly low sub frequencies. And these frequencies are just helping create a little bit more warmth and emphasis in the lower end. And that also helps explain why I cut a little bit of the low end here on this sound because I knew I can get a cleaner low end with this kick sub. Now, what is this channel specifically? You could do this in a number of ways, but if you're on Pro Tools, you can actually use the signal generator. This is just a stock plugin that comes with Pro Tools and you set it to a specific frequency. All right. And the reason why you don't hear it right now is because I have a gate on right after it. If I get rid of the gate, you're going to hear it's going to have this tone just playing constantly. You see what I'm saying? So what I do is I first of all put on the signal generator. And another way you could do this is actually just cue up a bass synth or instrument sound that you like, and you could just play it manually. But I usually have it, static on one note. And what I do is I set the note relative to the song. In this case, 43 hertz was the tonality that I felt was appropriate for the song. Usually this is related to the key. So I set it like that, I listened in context, and I made sure it makes sense. And then what I do is I put a gate on right after. And what the gate does is I set it up with a side chain. So what you can do is you can have the side chain trigger the gate to actually open. So what do I have? I have the kick side chaining this gate. So every time the kick hits, essentially, you're going to hear the sub because this gate will open up and allow you to hear it just for the moment that the kick is playing. After the kick stops, then this gate will close and you'll no longer hear this sub frequency. So let's just solo these both for a second, and let me get rid of my pre here. And let me just mute the sub, and I'll play this on a loop, and I'll put the sub in, and we'll see how much of a difference it makes. It shouldn't be a huge difference, but it does add a little bit more presence to the kick. So let's play it. Putting it in. Without. Just a bit more knock and low-end presence to the track in general, right? So even if I were to just play this now fully in context, we could just take a listen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the sub and get rid of the additional plugins I've put in. We could play it, listen, and then I'll put everything in and we can hear the difference and do an A-B. So this is without everything.
Waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, baby, is you down cause of the love? Yeah, baby, you ain't my type, nah, just wanna waste my time. Waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, waste my time, girl, waste my time. Yeah, baby, is you down cause of the love? Yeah, baby, you ain't my type, nah, just wanna waste my time.
You get the idea. You can hear that when I put these plugins in, when I put this additional channel in, the kick just gels a lot better with the 808. The impact is there a lot more. And the cool thing about the song is the kick and the 808 very much function sort of together. The 808's up here. But they just sort of function more together and almost sound like one sound in a way. But what I've done here is I've done some additional processing just to make them complement each other more and ultimately lead to a better final product. And there you have it, a real solid strategy and idea of how you can beef up your kick drums in your song. You can hear how what I did really changed the beginning product to the final product, made it a lot bigger, fuller, and just harder hitting. If you got value out of this, please like, subscribe, and share once again. Share it with somebody you know will benefit from this. This will help a lot of producers out there. So if you know anyone that's mixing hip-hop or making hip-hop or R&B, definitely forward this to them so they can benefit from this knowledge. I'm looking forward to helping you guys again soon. Peace out.
5,